Good morning, guys. Morning, Michael and Linda and committee. To start with, Anthony's going to be late. He's got the honor of getting his COVID shot this morning. And so we want to wish him well with that. And so the good thing about today is it's Friday, the sun's shining, and we have next week to do meetings all week long with our constituents, which is good. This morning, I thought, we haven't got really anything on the schedule for the first half hour or so because Gus is coming at 9:45. And so I wanted to, well, we already talked a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that we were all set on possibly moving our other two bills that we voted out to the proper committees. And the way, Corey, you weren't on, I don't think, but what we talked about is I would move one bill to education, say, and Chris will move the other bill to natural resources for their review. And we'll know a little later on this morning, the procedure for doing that. Then as far as our what we've got Gus coming in for is that farm labor housing issue. And Michael, did you get an email from me this morning?
I did. I called USDA Rural Development's Montpelier office. Do you want me to go into this?
Sure. Yeah. Just what you found out.
Sure. So there's they have 3 programs for rural housing. 2 are specifically rural housing, and one is a rural housing purchase or construction program, and it's a loan, and it's a grant if you're over 65. They also have a repair program. The issue with both of those, with regard to farm labor housing, is you have to be the occupier of the home so it has to be owner occupied. So
the actual building,
the building has to be owner occupied for which you receive the grant or loan.
So why couldn't a renter? Why couldn't a farm laborer be the renter?
Well, that's the third program. That's the farm labor program, right? Farm labor housing program. They have a program to provide loans, and in some instances, again, you have to be over a certain age you can get money to either construct farm labor housing or repair farm labor housing on your property. It does have a citizenship requirement, but the person I talked to said that it's generally not an issue because they only apply that to the person that applies for the assistance, and the person that's applying is usually the farm owner.
Yeah.
And so I have a contact name that I'm supposed to call. I just didn't have the time to do it before this meeting.
Well, yeah.
But one of the things that you also asked me to ask them, is there money available? And she said yes. She didn't quantify how much, but she said that there's money available.
and what's the cost share look like on that program?
Well, if it's a loan, it's a loan, right? And so it's 1% interest.
But that exists, like that that exists today and exists tomorrow.
It exists today. The question that she couldn't answer is whether you could create a program through VHCB or some other entity where they provide assistance to farms to apply. And I didn't know really exactly how to explain it to her, and she wasn't the farm labor housing person anyway. And so it was, I don't really know how you would set that up. I would want to talk to the farm labor housing person.
Yeah, maybe even a question of could we buy down even the 1%?
Yeah,
to zero- to zero.
that's what I was thinking. See, if we can offer Gus some, he loves wheeling and dealing. You know, if you can add money from somewhere else, so the money that he has, he really appreciates doing it that way to make the money go further. And if I thought if, you know, having Michael do this little research project, if we could talk to Gus about, you know, maybe setting up a little program within his shop, giving him this forward information about dealing with USDA to some extent, that he would take a, you know, $500,000 out of the 20 million or something, and then pick up some more money from USDA. You could do a lot of upkeep on farm labor housing if you had $1 million. And because I don't want to steal or take too much money out of the housing issue, because as you all know, we've got a serious problem with affordable and decent housing from one end of the state to the other. So do you think, Michael, would it be hard to set some type of a program up with Gus, or do you think we just talk with him about it and let him do his own thing?
Well, I don't think it'd be hard to earmark a certain amount of money for VHCB to provide assistance for farm labor housing. I don't think that that's going to be hard to do. You would just have to set up some criteria around it. I think what will potentially be hard to do is to leverage that money to the federal money. That if that's what you want to do, I need to really talk to the people at Rural Development about how to do that.
Well, what I had in mind, Gus gets a lot of federal money, but he also gets a bunch of state money. And we would use state money to match the federal money, not federal money matching the federal money, because in most cases, that is not allowed. You know, you can't take COVID money and match it against other federal money and make it work. But you can take state money. And so, you know, I thought maybe we could chat about that with Gus to see. I mean, I'm sure he's well tuned in on what's allowable and not.
Yeah, I
So-
agree. I think he's the, you know, he's the one with experience and creativity with these programs, and he's the one to really plug into to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Any thoughts from you guys on the amount that it might take, or how much you think we could afford to take and not cause other problems as we try to push this forward?
That is sort of a shot in the dark. I mean,
Yeah,
we heard what Dan's evidence was about a quarter of farm workers found this to be extremely stressful.
yeah.
So yeah, that's the only metric at all that begins to orient us. Maybe
But what
Gus
does
would
that,
have some.
yeah, what does that translate into dollars and cents? I don't know. You're right.
I mean, if we do anything, it's more than we've done in the past. So
Well, yeah, I mean, and I haven't got a clue what type of updates, renovation, does it mean 50 grand an apartment or a house or 10 or 100? But I wonder, would it be sensible to do like a little pilot program of 10 maybe, 10 units or something, 10 apartments or 10 houses, and just to see how if we could talk him into that to see how it goes, or for the first year?
yeah, rather than limit it that way, I've wondered about giving him, seeing if we could, for instance, push him to put 1 million of, I just make that number up, but for instance, say up to 1 million you could use this way, and then we could see what the demand is, but build him the flexibility so that if by August he's only used 200 grand, he can ship his money elsewhere. I just, if we say 10 and the demand is 1,000, that's my worry. And I don't have a sense of, if we gave him $1 million and that let him buy the interest rate down, I don't know what that means. Like, we need some way of having the scale.
But the other thing that we've agreed to do, I don't even know if I mentioned it to you guys. I hope I did, but I might have forgot it. We're going to raise his ready money for the grant stuff to 275. So, I mean, he's got that person there that if he really got stuck, maybe they could write some grants for some of this money as well, for housing. We can talk with him when he comes in regards to that, besides the federal money, because a lot of this money comes right from groups, that have hunks of money that they give away, and they do pretty darn good finding it. So we'd ask him about moving up to a certain amount and leaving that discretion up to him. Linda, do we have any of that, or do you have any of that documentation that Dan brought with him from UBM that he showed us on the screen?
Yeah, it should be on your webpage under his name on the
Is-
information.
When we have Gus in, is that something that you could pull up and put on the screen so that Gus would see what we saw, to be able to show him the need out there to do something like this?
Yeah, let me just check and see what documents there are. There were several, I think.
Are we going to keep chatting until Gus is here in about a half an hour?
It's up to you. You got something you need to do, Chris?
I need to fill my coffee cup. That's
Oh,
a burning.
go.
Okay, I'll
fill
go
it.
do that right now.
Yeah,
Yes, Senator
could-
Star, there was just one document. It was a slideshow, which I'd be happy to display if you would like that.
repeat that, Linda.
Dan just gave us one document that is a slideshow, and I'd be happy to show any of that you want when the time.
Okay. Yeah. Would you want to tell Chris, Linda, to bring me a cup of coffee too, as long as he's going to the cafeteria?
I think you missed your opportunity on that one.
Michael, do you think, did you sit in on that presentation with Dan from UVM and Buster?
No, I wasn't there. I wasn't present.
Wouldn't that be a good way to, I mean, Dan, the professor up there, he did a good job that day showing, the survey that they did, and the stats were really pretty compelling that somebody needs to, do something about upgrading some of this farm labor housing stuff. I should think that would be something that Gus would be interested in seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has real potential. I think there's money. You might be getting even more money in the next round of CRF federal funding with less restrictions on it.
900 million.
Right. And so I think you've got potential to do it. It's just about figuring out how much money and how to administer the program.
Yeah. Yeah. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I was wondering about that next round of relief money too. The other thing I wonder whether Senator Sorokin might have, I mean, that committee's charged with housing. He might have someone that we could talk to about, because I think Chris Pearson makes a good point. We know a percentage of the farm workers need help with housing, but we don't understand if it's 25% what that translates into in terms of dollars and cents. But maybe Michael Sorokin has someone that we could at least talk to that says, well, here's the number that you really should be looking at, kind of thing. I mean, I don't know. He's got more resources on that end of things, I think, than we do.
On cost numbers, Brian?
Or housing specifically, yeah, housing. Maybe not, but it seems like that committee's charged with housing.
Well,
My sense is he'll say, you guys got to talk to Gus.
yeah.
Well, then
I
at
do
least we
too.
know. Then at least we know that that's the right person.
And I've talked with Gus about this many, and even many more times, but I don't understand how we'll take a building, retrofit it, and into 10, 15, 20 apartments and end up getting $200,000 per unit into each one of them. I can't get that through my mind about why it costs a GD much to rebuild an apartment. And I've talked with Gus many times about that, and I guess they kind of pay the long dollar. It's not like if Bobby's doing it,
I bet you a lot of it has to do with federal regulations about what needs to be in there too.
Yeah, I think that, and then if it's an older building, it has to retain its aesthetics and all that good stuff. But that farm labor housing shouldn't have much of that to deal with. We just want to make sure that the windows are tight and the doors closed and there's a good furnace and it looks decent. Michael, when we come back after recess there, we haven't talked yet about your schedule, but we have the tractor repair bill that Chris has had put in, and we also have that milk, the milk bill. Brian calls it the milk tax bill. That's very nice of you, Brian. Your
Well,
milk
that's what it
tax
is.
bill. I didn't know if, when we come back, if we could schedule some time and have you and Russ in. And then Dave Hall did the other bill, I think, for Chris. But we kind of want to go through Russ Ingles, Senator Ingles' bill, and see if, if that's something that we can, move forward with or have a hearing or whatever on,
Sure, I'll be available, and I think Linda just scheduled me. I think there's some work you could do on Senator Ingles' bill, fleshing out how the systems program would work, etc. But I think maybe the biggest hurdle is figuring out how much it would raise. Senator Ingles has asked JFO to look into that, and I don't know where they are in that process.
Yeah.
And that's probably kind of the biggest. There's going to be some legal pushback on it, but I think the way that it's set up, it's legal, constitutional, but I think you'll probably hear people raise an issue about that.
Yeah, I know we did a thing 25 years ago. And if you do it just on milk, it's a very small, back then it was a very small amount of money. If you put it on all, say, dairy products and do the ice cream and the yogurts and the cheeses and the butter, and then I think you would probably get up to a fair amount. But and then but we might have to try to get numbers from somebody. Our joint fiscal will anyways. The other thing that I picked up on, it talked about container, amount per container. And I didn't really see where there was a difference between a half a pint of milk and a gallon of milk, because they're both considered containers. And did I read that wrong, or did I miss something, or?
No, you're correct. It's a flat assessment per product, so it doesn't change based on the size of the container.
And so I thought there might be a fairness issue there. But anyways, we'll
But that's partly what JFO I think will be looking at is how to break down the products to have, because butter is not the same as yogurt, it's not the same as milk, it's not the same as ice cream, right? So how do you find a fungible unit across all of those products? and whether or not you could or could not to assess the tax at. I think that's partly what JFO is going to be looking at. I know Senator Ingalls asked them to look at basically unit pricing as something that they could potentially use as a calculator.
Does
Yeah,
that also mean in schools? What do the kids normally get? A half pint or a pint of milk?
half.
Half. So
Yeah.
they would be adding a nickel to that as well?
Yeah. That's I think Senator Starr, you've hit on a point that I probably should have discussed with Senator Ingalls, and I did not. But it's probably one of the biggest issues with the bill.
Yeah, that kind of jumped out at me and I said, wow, I think I read this wrong. Michael wouldn't screw up on that.
But how do you assess the assessment across all products? I mean, that's the issue, right? And I don't know how to do it. I really, because
If
Is
it
it-
was easy as writing that bill, Michael, we'd have done that 40 years ago. No, yeah, we plowed that ground so many times trying to figure out the different angles to get at that. I mean, and honestly, it hasn't happened yet.
I mean,
Yeah, because
I guess you could build in de minimis provision. So if for each type of product, right? So an individual 8-ounce carton of milk wouldn't be subject to it. Or, those tiny little kids yogurt cups.
yeah, those
Um,
little small cups, get $1 on them and it costs 50 cents.
So I think you could do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. My kid has those little yogurt packages, and they're already like $1.20 a package because you get 4 of them for $5.
That's an expensive child you got coming along there.
I know he's got. I always joke he's got a $60 a month yogurt habit.
It'll only get worse.
I know.
Well, we'll have fun with that when we get back from the break and try to figure that all out. Is there anything else that you guys have thought about that we wanted to ask Michael about? Or are there any other bills that Carolyn's doing that's going to be coming our way, Michael?
Well, they plan to vote the miscellaneous housekeeping bill today. So that's going to be a vehicle, as it always is, for you after crossover. They're also looking at, remember how you looked at replacing the Vermont Pesticide Advisory Council with an Agricultural Innovation Board? They are looking at that. They've got a current use bill that's potentially on the floor today. That I did not draft, but that apparently went very well in committee for them. So there's that. So you're going to get ag tourism, assuming that ag tourism
No,
comes to you.
it went to Sears.
I went to Sears. Well,
but he's
ag
gonna
tourism,
send it to
miscellaneous housekeeping, the current use one, and a potential ag innovation board bill,
What's the current
and
use bill?
a shelter humane officer bill. The whole who is a humane officer for the purposes of animal cruelty. Bryn did that one. That might wind up going to judiciary as well.
Did they put the Secretary of Agriculture in as a humane officer of the state?
I don't know, but I don't think the agency wants to be the main officer.
Maybe the
Uh,
health commissioner.
Hey,
um,
Bobby,
Yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt you with a technical thing, but I accidentally made you host instead of co-host. And I need you to look over at the participant list and click my name and make me host.
what's that worth to you?
I'll give you two of the
Make it
fish
on the-
I caught the other day.
Like making him the pilot of an airplane instead of a co-pilot.
What do I do? Just push
Can you-
your name, Linda?
Click my name and it'll say make host.
Um,
I'm so excited we get to watch this in real time.
are you back?
I'm still not host. You're still host.
Linda Lehman.
Go to more.
And then push participants. Then your name is the third one down.
Okay, push the more next that's on top of my name. When you click my name, a little button will come up that says more. So push that and then go down the list and say make host.
I haven't seen where more is.
Do you have three little dots, maybe?
Yeah,
Push-
there's
try
a
that.
more there. Push that,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Make host.
Boy, you hadn't better screw up again, Linda.
I know you're counting.
You'll never get to be host again.
Ouch.
Okay, okay, participants there. Okay, I found you. Now and Pearson, we're all there. So now push more.
Yeah, if you're over Linda's name though.
There should be two little blue buttons to the right of my name.
Yeah, you got to make sure you're clicking more or the buttons next to Linda, not down at the bottom.
Oh, okay, double L and make host.
That's it.
All right, have you got your job back?
I sure do. Thank you very much, and I apologize.
Well, by golly, you keep that job. No, that's no problem, Linda. So now. You found the document and we're ready to go with that if Gus wants to see it, right, Linda?
Yes.
Yeah. And so Michael, do you have you were going to tell it, what's the current use, Bill?
Hold on, I didn't draft that one. I have to
Oh.
find it. It's, from what I recollect, it's about how to do the use value appraisal on certain aspects of the farm.
The tax department wanted to do one with small scale solar panels less than 1/10 of an acre. It wouldn't have to be withdrawn from current use or something. But I think
So
down-
what it says is, on or before November 1st of each year, the owner of ag land and the program needs to certify to
Yeah.
the commissioner that they meet the requirements. What this says is that the commissioner may waive the eligibility requirement, provided that the commissioner obtains through other means satisfactory information that the enrolled ag land continues or enrolled ag buildings continue to meet the requirements for enrollment. So this is the issue of the people that fail to put their
Yeah.
annual certification in and
Yeah.
then technically are unenrolled. And so this gives the commissioner of taxes a tool to say, no, they're still enrolled because we determined that they're still engaged, still meet the requirements for ag land.
That's one of the issues one of our finest senators pushed through a few years back that was totally idiotic. Yeah, we already have a law that if you change the use of your land, you're supposed to report that. And if you don't report it, there's penalties. This put the onus on every landowner to fill that paper out and send it in each year, check in the box. Well, I haven't changed any. I mean, it reversed it and it really messed, it caused everybody a great deal of grief. You guys want to grab a coffee for 5 minutes or something, and then by then Gus will be with us and
Sure.